In this video, we're going to show you how to add earnings, dividends, and splits to your chart. Earnings and dividends and splits are corporate events that are often announced ahead of time and then occur on a specific date. You can visualize these on TrendSpider by going to the Other Data menu at the top and clicking on the three dots. This will expand the Other Data menu, and here we can select dividends, earnings, and splits. And then we can click close. This will then plot these events on the chart so we can see them when they happened. Now, let's start with splits and then we'll move on and we'll talk about dividends. Splits are an event that is announced and sometimes occurs the same day and sometimes occurs at a later date. We can click on the three dots next to splits and we can add both the declared and effective date in addition to the X date to the chart. This will then highlight when the split was announced, when it became effective, and what the X date was for it. And you can see that now adds three separate lines for the splits. This is a level of flexibility that we think is very important for traders to be able to do and is not available in a lot of platforms. Usually you can only see the effective date of a split in your charting software. Next, we're going to talk about earnings. Apple is a public company and public companies issue regular earnings. And earnings contain a variety of data. We can customize earnings just like we can customize splits by clicking on the three dots next to it in the chart legend. This will open the earnings customization dialog, and here we have some options to choose from. First, we can change the position of this. We can move earnings to the top. Because we have dividends and splits at the bottom, maybe we don't want to crowd out the bottom of our chart. Next, we can decide the format of our data. We can display full data, which is going to show a lot of detail about each of the earnings. You can see it returns not just the earnings per share, but also the percentage and whether or not it was a surprise. If you hover your mouse over these, it will also give you additional data so you can see how the earnings were computed, if it were GAAP or not, and if it was issued post or pre-market. And this is all available to you by editing and customizing the earnings. Now, if you're like me, you don't want to see all that data right away. You just want to see a marker to tell you when earnings occurred. So you can switch that to short and you'll get exactly that. You'll get a little yellow box that tells you when earnings occurred. And then if you want the details, you can hover your mouse over it and the system will give you all that additional information out the gate. Now, we also have dividends. We've talked a lot about earnings and splits. Dividends are very similar, so I'm not going to dive into these specifically. Just know that you can customize them in the same way you can customize splits. You can add declaration dates, X dates, and effective dates to your charts. And then you can see any corporate events that you want on your charts in TrendSpider. Also, keep in mind, corporate events in TrendSpider can be scanned for, can be used in various other parts of the system. So if you want to use them in a smart checklist or something else, you know that they're there and you know that you can use them.